You've probably been lied to, and not by some random people on the internet, but you've been lied to by the government, your doctor, and the food industry all at the same time. They told you that fat makes you fat. So you switch from low-fat yogurt to low-fat milk, low-fat everything. And you avoided eggs like they were trying to kill you. You felt guilty eating avocado, which is insane since that's the healthiest kind of fat there is. And yet you're still here, still struggling, still wondering why the scale won't move. And there is a simple reason to explain all of this. Here's the thing. I'm not a fitness influencer. I'm not a gym bro. I have a background in microbiology and biotechnology, and I've actually studied how the human body works at a cellular level. So stay with me so I can explain everything to you from beginning to end. Let's go back to 1972. A psychologist named Ancel Keys, not a doctor, not a biologist, a psychologist, published a study claiming that dietary fat causes heart disease. And although this was partly true, the study was called the 7-country study. It sounds legit, right? But the problem is that he actually collected the data from 22 countries. He just only published the 7 that supported his theory. He literally threw out the other 15 countries that were part of this study, but it didn't matter. The American Heart Association ran with it because there was other evidence that supported this claim. But the government put it in dietary guidelines. Food companies and saw an opportunity. They started making everything low-fat. Low-fat cookies, low-fat cereal, low-fat salad dressing, everything low-fat. But here's the issue with that. When you remove fat from food, it tastes like nothing. It tastes like cardboard. It's insane. You're not gonna eat that. So what do? They replace the fat with sugar. High fructose corn syrup. Yes, the same you've been listening to since 2016. Refined carbs. And they marked it as healthy. In the 1970s, fat gets blamed. In the 1980s, low-fat products explode. And then in the 90s, obesity rates in America start climbing at rates that are insane. Not slowly, but exponentially. That is not a coincidence. That is a cause and effect. Okay, so now let me actually explain what's happening in your body, because this is where it gets really interesting. And most people never hear this. When you eat food, your body releases a hormone. It's called insulin. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard of it. Insulin's job is to take the glucose from your body, from your food, and either use it for energy or it's gonna store it. The key word here is store. Insulin is essentially the storage hormone. Here's the critical part. Dietary fat barely triggers insulin. Like barely, a tiny response. But what about refined carbs and sugar? Well, they spike your insulin so hard and fast, it's actually insane. When insulin is high, your body is in storage mode. It cannot burn fat. It is physically and biochemically impossible. Your body is locked into storing, not burning. When insulin is low, when you eat protein and fat with minimal carbs, your body has no choice but to go find another fuel source. And that fuel source is your stored body fat. That is why you see so many people talking about how you should lower your carbs. But there's some nuance to this. So think about what's happening when somebody eats low fat. They're removing the fat, which barely affects insulin, and replacing it with sugar and carbs, which is a spike in the insulin and keeps your body in constant fat storage all day long. You're literally biochemically preventing your own body from losing weight. And you're doing it thinking you're actually being healthy. And that's where most of us are being completely mocked. Think of insulin like a bouncer at a club. When your bouncer is at the door, fat burning is closed. Nobody's getting in. But the second the bouncer goes home, which happens when insulin drops, the fat cells opens up and your body starts burning them for fuel. Eating fat keeps the bouncer chill. But what about eating sugar and refined carbs? Well, it makes the bouncer work overtime, 24/7. Now, I already know that some of you are thinking, brother, calories in, calories out. And yes, that is completely true. That is the whole thing, actually. And look, calories matter, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can eat 5,000 calories of butter and lose weight. That's not going to happen. And that's not what I'm saying either. What I'm trying to say is that there is some nuance in calories in and calories out. When you use that model, it treats your body like a simple calculator. And your body is not a calculator. Your body is a biochemical machine. It's a thermodynamical equation that responds to hormones and not just math. Two people can eat the exact number of calories. One person eats those calories in refined carbs, and the other eats them in protein and healthy fats. And their insulin response is going to be completely different. Their body composition over time will be completely different as well. This is where you can meet somebody who swears they eat less than somebody else. And it's not about always willpower or laziness. It's their metabolic hormonal response to the types of food they're eating. If you do not eat quality foods, it's not quality calories. And although calories in, calories out counts, and it is the ultimate rule, how your body responds to those calories is going to help you lose fat or not. Okay, so now that I've destroyed everything you thought you knew, let's talk about what it actually means practically. Not all fats are the same. I want to be very clear about that. There are healthy fats, and these are the kind that support your hormones in your brain and your cell membranes, including things like eggs, avocados, olive oil, fatty fish like salmon, nuts, grass-fed animals, etc. These fats are anti-inflammatory and they support testosterone production. They literally help your brain function better, and they keep you full power for way longer than snacking for 2 hours. The fats you actually want to avoid are those trans fats in industrial seed oils. Things like vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil are good for cooking sometimes, but they're highly processed inflammatory, and your body doesn't know what to do with them. So the rule of thumb is simple. If the fat came from something that was once alive and whole, it's probably fine. But if it comes from a factory and needs 15 chemical processes to exist, avoid it. Eggs are not your enemy. Avocado is not your enemy. Your fat-free granola bar, well, that might actually be the problem. Of course, I'm not telling you to leave soybean oil forever and not cook, but simply be careful about it. So let me just make this crystal clear before I wrap it up. The next reason most people can't lose weight is in fat. It's chronically elevated insulin caused by a diet of refined carbs, added sugar, and ultra-processed foods that were literally engineered to be addictive. The food industry made billions off telling you fat wasn't the problem. Because if fat was the problem, then they could not sell you the healthy, low-fat products that are full of sugar and chemicals. You were the target, your health was the cost, and the profit was the goal. But now you know better. And knowing better means you can finally start making changes. And these changes are going to be the ones that work, not changes that just make food companies richer. Something important is you have to take into account your own responsibility. These companies are not going to be there forever, but you are. If this video hit different for you, and if something clicked today, I want you to know that this is just the surface. I have way more in my channel, and if you're in my free community, you're going to be seeing some of this way more. So if you want to hear more of these videos scientifically applied, and we can apply these science to your body, we talk about nutrition, we talk about habits, and we talk about the mental side of actually following through in this channel. It is free, it's growing, and the people inside are actually doing great work. You're going to be able to see the link right here. And if you're already in the community and you're watching it from here, well, you can enjoy way more in the classroom. And you can meet us on Thursdays. And if you're ready to start yet, that's cool. Hit the follow because I'm going to keep dropping content like this. The science or biology teacher never wanted to teach you.